Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the place, the home, the podcast that helps you find your best, most true, authentic business voice. Hell, your most authentic voice. You'll get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, make billions of dollars, find the person in your dreams. I can't yet guarantee those last two, but we're working on that. But all of this is about the art to authenticity, and it is great to be back. We were literally recalibrating for a few weeks, so this is the first episode in a few weeks, and I'm so excited because I get to bring on the show a colleague of mine from a killer mastermind high performance group, one of Dave Scatchard's all-stars, not to mention now I get to say a published author who has launched her own business, and all of this is really exciting to me. I've gotten a chance to witness part of the journey, and you get to witness it right now. Folks, welcome Katie Jordan to the podcast. Katie, nice to have you here.
Oh, it's so great to be here, John. I can't believe that we have been on this journey together I think it's almost 2 years now.
See, I think you're right. And that's what I was going to ask you, right? So, folks, we've had the privilege of being part of this high performance group. And so we've gotten the chance to meet in person. We've gotten the chance to be part of smaller mastermind groups and coaching groups and in-person summits and all that sort of thing. And one of the best parts of it is watching other people evolve, because it's sometimes easier to see the evolution in other people than thinking, am I doing enough? And I've gotten to watch Katie. Katie, what got you to sign up for the coaching group? Shameless plug, and Dave Scatchard, if you're listening, here you go. There's your shameless plug. But Katie, what got you to do it? What pulled you into the group?
I actually did one of the challenges. Excuse me.
You're cool.
All of a sudden, I got that hoarse voice from someone.
Oh, it's allergies, and that's okay, but you're still authentic, so we love it.
So I was actually a part of another group, and one of my accountability partners had come across one of Dave's challenges. I had no idea who he was. She was like, you need to check this out because I think this fits where you're at right now. So I jumped into the challenge, and it was totally transformational, really. I kind of at that point had an idea of what direction I wanted to go, because all through life I have felt this like burning and yearning, as a lot of us do, that there's more to life than what we're living right now. And let's see, at the time, I think I started my journey with Dave. I have to tell this story, and John, you know this story because it's hilarious. You guys know in life, if you don't ask, you can't be told no. So
I love that.
I was on one of our, I think, mastermind call. I think that's what we were doing or something. And Dave was talking about coming to an event in Denver. Well, Denver is where I live. And I was like, So I am a problem solver by nature. So my first reaction is, I wonder if he needs a ride. So I volunteered through his assistant and everything. And I said, hey, I'm willing to pick him up at the airport and take him where he needs to go. And not only did it allow me to meet him face to face, you guys, but it gave me the opportunity to have a little mini coaching as well. And since then, I have really honed into what I feel is like my real purpose and journey in life. I almost 2 years ago was I get emotional here.
That's
no
okay.
apologies, because that's what
We welcome
happens, right?
authenticity here. We welcome it.
Yeah. 2 years ago this summer, my ex-husband and I sold our house. We moved into separate places. That was really the last catalyst to, I have to do something different. What I have been doing is not working. And prior to that, I had had a lot of grief in a short amount of time. So I was carrying that really heavy, knowing that my marriage was, kind of all over the place, and having a toddler at the time was all very challenging. But I realized that there is more to life. So when I found myself in my early 40s, like, oh, I'm on my own again here. I knew that I had two choices. I could stay in the grief that I was in and not be any good for anyone around me, or I could start to make those changes and move forward and become a better mother, a better friend, a better sister, just all around being able to pour into other people, because my cup was full as well.
I love that. Hey, do you mind? I love when you just said, hey, I'm a problem solver by nature. But let's walk back a couple of steps. Before you are picking up a high performance coach at the airport and driving him to wherever he was going, the fact of the matter is you lived a fair amount of life, because you just said the age. And that's the only reason I know.
That's okay.
You gave the age, and it's like, okay. So help me a little bit more. Help us a little bit more. I love journeys with the backstory. You're a mom. I love this. We're totally going to touch on this. What were you getting to do? You've worked for an airline for a number of years.
Yeah.
Right? So not just the basic bio, but to me, what were some of the highlights? When did you know you were a problem solver? Like, was it growing up? Was it in school? Was it, when did you realize, oh, this is something I get to do?
That's kind of I've been a little, and this is always funny too, problem solver, people pleaser. That is a dangerous combination, because I remember going around closing cabinet doors and things like that, thinking that's what's going to make other people happy. But I grew up in a small town in Colorado.
Right.
And I don't even know. The college thing is a very interesting thing to me.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Because my family did not have the money to send me to college. So I had to figure that out. And I'd applied at some different schools, and I literally went where the money was for me. So I ended up at this small private university in West Texas, and I have some of my best friends from there still.
Great.
But with that began okay, there's more to this life than just that small town that I grew up in. So graduated from college. I ended up actually moving back home for a while. I kind of settled into just the ho-hum of life and got engaged. Thought that's what I was supposed to do in my mid to late 20s. Then that didn't work out. Looking back, one of the most amazing things that happened to me. That was the catalyst that took me into, okay, I want to do something more, that I can travel, that I can be more. And at that time, we had studied a specific airline in school. And I was like, I thought I wanted to do that, or on a cruise ship. And
okay. So
thank God I wasn't on a
just
cruise
in
ship.
other places.
Yeah.
Right? Cool.
So I went to a piano recital for my cousin around Christmas time.
Right.
And there was a lady there who her sister was a flight attendant. And she's like, oh yeah, you want to talk to her? I talked to this woman one time on the phone. She gave me a referral, and 16 years later, several cities later, several positions later, here we are.
Oh my God.
And it has been quite the journey, and I really wouldn't change it.
What was it like reloading from different places? I mean, that's to me, it's like forced reload, because this is the job's taking you X, so you're going. What gave you the guts back then to be like, you know what, I'm going to pack up and try somewhere new?
When I was brand new, that was back in the day where they hired people and put you in a pool. So when they needed somebody, they called people in the pool. Mm-hmm. Well, I was like, forget this. And I said, where can I go that I can start now? Be careful what you ask for. Mm-hmm. Because let's see, less than 3 months after I had my interview, I think it was a month really, because February into March, I had my car packed and drove to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh my God.
So talk about trial by fire.
Right. Small town to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
What was that like? Woohoo!
Oh my gosh. Well, when you work at the airport, it's a totally different thing. Gotcha. When people are coming, it is one thing. When they are going, it's a completely different thing. I was there for 6 short months and I was like, I cannot, this is not me. I need to go. And so I got a transfer back to Denver within that first 6 months. Right. But along the way, people believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Okay.
Because when I came back to Denver, that's when I got the opportunity to really step into a leadership role and have really grown through that. And I always wanted to live in San Diego. At one point, I thought I was going to go to law school in San Diego.
Oh, me too. Me too. Right? Oh,
I have got to live that dream. I have lived there and I loved it. And when I started with the airline, I had one goal in mind. What I wanted to do is I wanted to teach initial customer service. And you had to live in Dallas to do that.
Why?
Highly
competitive. Not why did you have to live in Dallas? Why did you want to teach that one thing? What was it that was pulling you?
Because I've always been very customer service, hospitality driven. And I think, I had that instructor in my class that went above and beyond. And I wanted to be able to do that for others. And it's funny because I didn't realize oh, okay. So I was able to fulfill that dream. And then I was like, well, now what?
Right.
Because I think sometimes we have these goals and we set it out that, okay, well, once I get here, but once you get there, then what?
Yeah, but at least you're looking, for you. Yeah. Like I said again, at least you're looking. Rather than, I guess this is it.
Yeah. So it has been amazing to be able to say and tell people, as far as that was concerned, I fulfilled my dreams. And then we move into this whole different stage of life. And truly this butterfly transformation. And I can't even begin to explain coming from that small town to where I am now, to where I know I'm going is fantastic. There's so many people that have these dreams. And this is why I really enjoy working with women, because as women, whether you're a mom or you're not, you have a family or you don't, we tend to succumb and get put in this cocoon called life, and all these things are happening and we're taking care of everybody else because that's what we're supposed to do, right? that we forget about ourselves. And that is really part of the reason that I have developed the Butterfly Tribe Blueprint, is because my calling is to help women. First of all, it starts with boundaries and awareness, because I am A1 guilty of that. I had no idea really what a boundary was. And you think, oh my gosh, later in life, I should have this all figured out. We have to give ourselves some grace there, because it takes more than, so being aware that things need to change, being able to set those boundaries. And when you set boundaries, it takes your power back. You quit giving it away to everyone else.
Folks, if you're watching this, then you see the beautiful butterflies on the background of Katie's screen. And if you are listening on audio, you should see these beautiful butterflies, because to me, that is so profound in terms of the why and the wherefore, as to that's sort of an evolution. Look, Katie and I also had a really strong conversation in December after the high performance conference. And I can remember this so well, that we were seated. It was a hotel. We're in the hotel. It was the restaurant. I was going to call it the cafeteria, the restaurant, right? And we're there. And you said earlier in the conversation, you were saying problem solver, people pleaser. And you and I were both talking about the term people pleaser. And I find, look, I'm a guy, and I also happen to be a people pleaser. And so that's one of the things I work on continuously. So I felt like it so resonated to me, the fact that, oh my God, see, it's so, you think, I'll just speak for me, you think you're doing well, but there's a feeling that I always had that it was incomplete or insufficient, because I just would describe myself in that people please. You say problem solver, people pleaser, and I love that. So for myself, I remember I was one of those that felt like I was the harried wait staff person that was constantly needing to bring you, get you. Is there anything else? Do you need? And it was so unfulfilling. And so you start to talk about boundaries, and I want to now, like, in terms of when you first came to the realization, oh, this might be a good idea, walk me through the first couple. You don't have to explain which boundaries, but I was going to say, more importantly, the feeling, because it's a gutsy move. So that's what I want to know. How were you able to kind of like pivot to get to that point of, okay, no, I'm going to set boundaries, and more importantly, I'm going to live it? How did you do it?
Well, boundaries and people pleasing go hand. They do, but they go hand in hand too.
Tell me how. What do you mean?
Because if you don't have any boundaries, you continue to give and give and give, and that's where that people pleasing comes from. Yep. And I like to say I'm a reforming people pleaser. Sorry about that, but it's true.
My fault for drinking water during your answer. I love it. I love it. Give me the term again. I want it repeated. I love it. Reforming people pleaser.
Reforming.
Thank you. I love it.
It's just like, it really is a form of an addiction, because you're so concerned about what everybody thinks, or who's going to do this, or what are they going to think of me if I do that, that we lose ourselves in that. And when we set those boundaries and say, look, I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have boundaries with my family and some different things as well. And I think that is part of what played into the breakup of my marriage.
Okay.
Because not now boundaries in my marriage specifically, but letting other people control me and how that affected my relationship with him. And once I was able to be like, you know what, this is just because you've grown up a certain way and things have always been done a certain way, that does not mean you have to continue to do it that certain way. And let me tell you, rock the boat some or a lot. But the journey to really being able to put some of those boundaries in place came from, I had a therapist one day said, it's like building a fence.
Okay.
You're doing all this work, you're putting every board up, right? But if you don't practice letting your no just be no, and you feel like you have to have an explanation behind it, you're taking those boards all back down too.
Oh, okay.
So we have to practice and be okay with letting our no be no. Because you don't owe anyone else an explanation for why.
First couple times you did it, do you remember? And if you do, what did it feel like?
It's not a fun feeling.
Right. But you did it.
What are they gonna think, or what are they? You know what? At the end of the day, is anyone else paying my bills or accountable for my joy or my happiness? No, they're not. That falls on me. But if I don't even know what those things are within me, it's really hard to enforce a boundary if you don't know what that is.
Ain't it crazy to think that sense of, you just said something, it's like they're not paying your bills and all that stuff. It's I relate to it, which is why I'm pretty certain that we're not the only two people that can relate to this. And it's like, that's why I want the detail, because it's like, for me, it's like that sense of you just get it started. I still have difficulty setting boundaries, but it doesn't mean I won't do it. It simply means I can acknowledge this isn't easy for me. But that's all. It doesn't mean it's wrong. And that's the part that I find for myself is, it's not a mistake. I want to keep in my head thinking, oh, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. They're not going to like me anymore. Blah, blah, blah. So I love the fact that you remember that feeling, right? And then things are progressing now, as I said, and I am moving forward in this regard, that it's like, so now you made a major change in regards to the marriage and the dissolution, and you were starting to talk about that earlier, and I want to come back to that now, which is that sense of needing more, and I'm going to put it differently, needing more again, which is, okay, you've hit this next plateau. You had said early on, you had realized, even come out of college, I knew I needed more. Like doing this, I know I needed more. You hit this next plateau a couple of years ago, and you're like, I need more. So you've got this person that guides you to a high performance group. And that's where the first connection comes in. What were some of the things that you would say that you've been able to absorb that have helped you become more true, authentic, and right? Some of the things, say, even over the last couple of years.
Being okay with things that have happened in the past, knowing that I can't go back and change those. But that's part of what has made me who I am today. And I feel there are times when it's like, oh my gosh, I've been through so much in life, and I really have to share this with other people, because there are other people in our shoes, John, that haven't set boundaries or hate to set boundaries because, ooh, what is somebody going to think? And it is time for us to step into your own power, create your own routines that helps your mind get strong enough that you're okay saying no. I'm okay if people don't like me. I'm not for everyone. You know? And the heart of it really just is, you have to change things and start moving them one little bit at a time. Mm-hmm. Did this whole butterfly transformation happen overnight? No. I mean, you've been on this journey with me for 2 years almost. So you kind of have seen
the evolution, which feels fast to me. But the reminder of the 2 years part, it's 100% true. But it's in that sense of the old cliche, time flies, because it feels way more quickly than that. But I know you're right. So being in this journey for the last couple of years, you've done some amazing things, and without getting too specific, the things that I find most amazing is were put in positions where we have spoke on an individual basis. We have done up to a dozen small boxes on a Zoom screen. We have done in-person events where there was a small group of people. We've done events where there's a large group of people. And one of the things I commend you for is the fact that I remember you being on the stage in Scottsdale, Arizona, sharing your experience. So let's talk a little bit more in regards to the butterfly transformation and the sense of this, what you were able to, in that journey, be able to talk about when you were on the stage in front of a bunch of people and cameras, right? So, you know what I mean? It's all out there.
Sometimes it's funny when you go back and reflect on some of these things, and I'm like, it was so authentic and so genuine from the heart. I don't even remember what I said. But, here I am, like I said earlier, in my 40s, finally feeling like I'm figuring life out. And what that means is not letting my past dictate my future and where I'm going, and not feel like I have to give up part of me to go where I want to go. And one of the things that I've really struggled with in the past has been worthiness.
Okay.
Not feeling worthy of having the things that I want to, having the relationship that I want to, having the finances that I want to, because I grew up where it was the finances, money is the root of all evil. No, money gives you opportunities, and it's what you do with it that can then translate into being evil, if you will. I wish I could remember who I heard this from, but he was telling a story about the government in New Zealand.
Okay.
They had a proposition to change the flag. Okay. This was going to cost, I don't know, $2 billion. They also had one on the other hand that was going to feed the children of the country. Right? So he was saying, so we spent all this money over here, but we didn't give this any attention. And when you step into your abundance and your, being able to fulfill those dreams, we don't have to trust that anybody else is going to make those right decisions, because we can do that. And that's one of my dreams one day, is to open a preschool, a high-end preschool for families of all backgrounds. Having a small child, that has been a challenge, and I don't know how some parents, because I'm very blessed, I don't know how some families do it, but it shouldn't be a deterrent because somebody doesn't have the money. Everybody should be able to come up with opportunities. And
I love that you just said money isn't the root of all evil, but it provides opportunities. And so, playing off of what you just finished with, I think about the fact that I consider myself quite lucky, that like high performance coaching ain't free. Going to these events ain't free. It just isn't. And going to therapy is not free. And I've done every one of those things and still do. You know what I mean? So
Right.
having a few bucks has enabled me to do those things because otherwise they would be luxury. So I love the sense of purpose when you say that you want to, or you intend to, I'll say it better, that you intend to create a school and remove the stigma of the income dynamic. Because again, I think people get the opportunity to make better decisions when they have a few bucks. Do they do it? It's up to them. I've made terrible decisions with money, and I've made some okay decisions with money. But the fact of the matter is, it's like that gives you opportunities to make a different choice. So I love the fact. So first off, I don't know you. If you and I didn't make this call, I love when you said earlier, and by the way, me too, had no idea who that guy was. By the way, folks, we will be convening in person in about like I said, and by this should be on as that's happening. And so I don't know you if it wasn't for that. So I've gotten to watch this transformation, and we're talking about this on stage event. And you, as you just said, I was so from the heart, and in the moment, I wasn't exactly sure what I was saying. I can vouch for it that it was really emotional and on point. So from that, and from the conclusion, you've done a number of things that are amazing. And I mean, you've launched a business. Like I said, you've launched a coaching business. What is that like for you?
It's super exciting.
What do you get to do?
Well, what I do is I help women who I'm really taking someone who has been in the journey that I have come through and helping them. One of my clients right now, we laugh when we talk sometimes because we've actually known each other for a really long time. But our parallels in where we are at in our path is amazing. And sometimes you just need that accountability to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Okay, what are you going to do if you don't do it? One of the biggest things that I have learned through this whole transformation is being mindful where you spend your time.
Okay, talk to me.
Because I'm tired of, and I'm not going to say that I haven't been guilty of this.
Oh, okay. We're not perfect.
Because people will be like, oh, I don't have time, or, oh, there's not enough hours in the day. What are you doing at the end of the day? You're watching hours and hours of Netflix at a time. Is that going to get you where you want to go? Because if you start and you do a time inventory, and I know you and I have both done this, where you 100%. Spend your time lies your priorities.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about the things that you can do to take back your time and to be able to do the things that you want to do, Saturdays, for instance, are a prime example for me and my daughter. That is generally our day. I will do very minimum work on Saturdays because she is my focus. That's why Thursdays and Fridays build into the weekend. If I didn't have this mentality with time and budgeting my time or time blocking, you guys, I still work a 40-hour plus work week. I think I decided it's like 53 with a commute and everything like that.
That's a lot of plus, by the way. You say 40-hour plus. That's a lot of plus. So, right? So 50 plus hours plus a coaching business plus. How old's your daughter?
She's about to graduate from kindergarten and turn 6 this summer.
Boom. I love that. So with a young child of which you've already made the great decision, by the way. I love that, which is Saturdays are just about all for us and all that sorts of things. I love that. And she's, oh my God, almost 6. That's crazy
Yeah.
cool. What do you, I've been asking this question lately when I've been speaking, and I'm just going to ask you this. Forgive the randomness of it, but I thought of this as you were just saying, as you've launched your coaching business. I think it's applicable. What makes you different in your eyes? What makes you different? Why would somebody choose you in regards to the coaching business? Why are they, not would they? Why do you think they are? What makes you different?
It is, everybody has a journey, and everybody's journey looks different. But the fact that I have taken everything that I've learned over the last 20 plus years and been able to compact that and be more streamlined of how can you get from here to here in a shorter, in less than 20 years for sure. You know, it gives people that, oh, I can do this. I can live my dreams. It doesn't matter that I am in my 40s or 40 plus, because guess what? We all have a different path. And I love to help women or share with them that just because that's where you're at today does not mean that's where you have to be at in a week from now, in a year from now. You know, you can make that difference and still make those changes in life and show up differently for your family and have more time to do the things you want to do and take care of yourself.
So, folks, I would be remiss, and I've been waiting to ask this. I'm so excited. So, my friend, colleague, high performance coach is now an author. And legit author. And by the way, not just am I excited about that, I think the title of the book just makes me happy. I just found the title. So, folks, coming really soon is going to be this killer book that Katie is a part of, and I want to hear more about it. But it's called, and I love this title, Start Up or Start Over. Just start. And to me, I just lean into that so hard. What got you included, or I'm sorry, what got you involved in the project?
Well, that's a funny story.
I want to hear
it. I have been working with, it's really interesting to me as how when you start to align with your purpose and what you want to do, like people are just brought into your life that align with that. And I love supporting female businesses as well. And over a year ago, I got into this platform called She's in Business. Women ran all, the support, everything like that. Well, through that group, I had met another lady named Dr. Jillian Zambone, and she had put out an offer to start working with her for this last book. And the last book she did was called Shattering the Stigma of Single Motherhood.
Oh, nice.
And I just, I went through that and I was just like, you know what, that doesn't feel like a fit for me and where I'm at and where I was just emotionally and everything.
Why not?
And because part of that is I have an amazing co-parenting relationship with my daughter's father.
Right.
And there's it's just interesting. That's a whole nother conversation for another day.
That's okay.
The title of single parent, because depending on your background, depends on what it means to you too.
Love it.
So
you found this person and their last book was single parenting. What changed?
So she put the offer out that she was going to do a different book, and it was going to be about women in business.
Great.
And I was like, I'm in business, I'm new to business too, and I just felt that the timing was right. There are 13 other amazing women in this. We are all at different points in our entrepreneurship journey.
Got it.
It just makes me chuckle because I've had the opportunity. And this is also an international book. We have women from around the world part of this book. And to listen to everyone's story and journeys and how it kind of all just beautifully comes together is amazing. And, through that, my journey is in there with the Butterfly Tribe and what that whole program was born out of. And some of the moving forward, because I'd never seen myself as a writer. I wrote the first version of it and I went back and I was like, this is just so generic. My ex-husband, who is a journalist by trade, was going through it with me. We had started this. This is a fun little side note to this. And he was going through the editing with me, helping me through it. And I remember listening to Mel Robbins on a podcast one day.
Love Mel Robbins. Oh, she was probably my first in the high performance game. Love it.
Right?
Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that is fine. She was talking about, on a podcast, she was talking about, are you going to continue to sit on the sidelines or are you going to play the game? How many of us can relate? Because we're like, oh, I should do this or I shouldn't do that. I mean, I'm going through that at this very moment.
Sure. Me too, by the way. And I'm in it and you're in it and I'm still.
I think we do continue to do that, but other things happen and you're like, oh. With that being said, I was like, oh, I just had this epiphany. And I went back and I rewrote my whole chapter. And I really took the butterfly concept and wove it throughout the chapter and why that speaks to me so clearly. So fun part is I send it back to him. I said, okay, what are you saying? And on the phone call, it just brings me happiness because
I love it.
On the phone call, he goes, so who's helping you write this?
There you go.
That meant the world to me.
Right.
Because I was like, nobody. That was me.
Me in my heart.
He was like, that's amazing. So it doesn't matter what the challenges of life that you've had. You're not just overcoming them. What you're doing is you're taking them and using that experience because there's someone else out there in the world that needs what you have been through because they're in it right now. So don't be afraid to show up, be that reforming people pleaser because someone needs you, but because you're so scared to do it because somebody else might think, oh my gosh, she's crazy. It's okay if they think I'm crazy. But you need to do that not only for yourself, but for others as well.
I think when I think about the arc of authenticity, I think one of the constants has become when I hear other people say that it's like, oh, right, that. It's that sense of I'm not just doing it for me. And I believe that's the true mark of authenticity, and you just nailed it. One more question on the book, which is this. I understand you can read the prologue of the book and learn that you'll identify a market need and create a product or service that solves it, strategies for building brand and establishing a strong online presence. I want to focus on your section. What will the readers, when they order your book, what do you think they'll get from your section? Yeah, there's 13 authors and it's global and they're great. And I'm a fan of all 13. I don't know any of them, but I know you. What would be when they're going to get the book? Why? For you?
It really is about a journey of encouragement.
Okay.
And not being afraid to take those next steps to get you where you want to be. Sometimes you have to reverse engineer that because you don't know where you want to be because you lost that along the way. And that's going to look different because maybe, like I said earlier, you achieved that one dream you wanted to be. And now you're like, now what? Because it looks totally different for everybody. But that encouragement to, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. Those dreams can still be fulfilled. Are you going to choose to let life hold you back, or are you going to literally jump in front of it and take what you have and run with it?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Folks, you're going to see in the bio, you're going to see the link to pre-order the book. You're also going to see our colleague, Katie Jordan, has a new website. So the link will be there as well. And I'm going to ask you too, what's the best way to find you?
Well, there are two ways. Probably the easiest way is I am on Facebook as Katie Kuhn Jordan. And on Instagram, it is Butterfly Tribe Blueprint. And those are definitely, the website is coming along too. There's still some work there, but that's always a fun.
We're all growing and evolving, and websites too. So that's great. It's
yes.
You know what I mean? Websites are allowed to evolve. Great. But it's there. So one more time, it's Katie Kuhn Jordan on Facebook. And these links will be there, folks. You don't have to guess or memorize. And the Butterfly Tribe on Instagram. And we have the website and the pre-order form. Katie Jordan, I'm so damn excited that you made the time for me today and for all of us, because I really believe we're all a work in progress. And I also think too, risk takers, boundary setters, especially when it's hard, are the ones that you want to follow, because the transformation, just like a butterfly, is flat out beautiful. And I am so excited for all this. I have a distinct advantage because I get to spend more time with Katie, but I will ask you this. Would you come back as the evolution continues? Would you come back?
For sure. And that, yes, definitely. And that is a super exciting opportunity because I love to share that with people, because the woman you see or hear in front of you today is definitely not the same woman I was 2 years ago. I can truly look at myself in the mirror and see myself for the beauty that's there. Not only what's inside, but what comes outside as well.
One more question. What would you like to instill in your daughter that would help her become the butterfly that you were with other women? What would be the main thing, the first thing that comes to your mind? I really hope I articulated and communicate the following so my daughter gets to there a little bit faster.
The beauty of knowing what I know now is the fact that I get to instill in her this beautiful sense of independence and sense of self, and that she doesn't have to be that people pleaser. She has such a kind, amazing heart. I just want to foster that and nurture it. And when you, as a parent, know these things and you can help them, I was thinking about this just before our podcast today.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things we have as a parent is to help our child learn to navigate their emotions. If we don't even know how to do that ourselves, it's really hard to do that with a child. So there's a lot of beauty in that and learning.
I'm so excited to get the privilege to watch the continued transformation. And folks, we thank Katie Jordan for making the time for us today. Katie, thanks for for throwing all this knowledge our way, and heart and emotion and talent. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. I look forward to our next visit, John.
Sounds like fun. Folks, and you've just heard another episode of Your Message Received. Keep listening, watching, subscribing. You'll find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, oh my God, Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcast, and YouTube as well too. Watch us, listen to us, share with your friends, tell your mom, whatever. Let us know that we're doing the right thing, and we will keep coming back with authentic content. John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Thanks so much for making the time for us. Have a great day, all. Be good. Bye.
It is now making its way across the finish line. Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.